There was a time when the word railroading was the ultimate insult for a dungeon master. In fact, it kind of still is, especially if you spend any time on Reddit. However, I strongly suspect that the majority of posters on Reddit don't actually play D&D, they just post about it. So I wouldn't put too much confidence in what Reddit has to say about D&D or about railroading for that matter. Oh, and doubling down on the tangent right off the bat in the intro here, I saw a post on Reddit not too long ago where the poster was doubting that I even ran D&D games. And it is my official stance to neither confirm nor deny. Anyway, sometimes it seems like the moment you nudge your players toward the plot, drop a hint too conveniently, or have a NPC gently steer them back on track, someone will shout railroad like you just torn up their character sheet in front of them. And sure, most versions of railroading do suck, the kind that ignores player choices, steamrolls creativity, and turns D&D into a guided tour. Yeah, I think we can all agree that that sucks. But here's the twist. Railroading isn't always bad. In fact, sometimes it's actually what your game needs. Whether you're teaching brand new players how to play, trying to land an emotional story beat, or just keeping the game from spiraling off into tangents about kobold soup recipes, a little well-placed railroading can make your campaign stronger, tighter, and more fun. Hello folks, welcome to the DM Lair. I'm Luke Hart, and on this channel I share my nearly 30 years, oh yay, whatever, nobody cares, of game master experience so that you can run amazing games that your players will love. And today we're talking about the good side of railroading, when to use it, how to do it well, and why the advice never railroad your players might actually be hurting your game. Now before I jump in, I want to let you know that we're currently running a 4th of July sale over on the DM Lair store. You can save up to 50% on all our cool books and digital resources. Lairs and Legends, Into the Fae, The Secret Art of Game Mastery, Lair Magazine, Foundry Modules, Gobs of Digital Maps, and more. I'm a moron, but we actually have a whole lot of cool crap over there that will probably make being a game master a little bit easier because we do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So if you're like me and your wife has threatened to kill you if you buy another D&D book, now is the time to make out like a bandit. And if you get caught, just tell her I used some sleazy sales strategy on you and that it's all my fault. I'm happy to be the bad guy. Now, this sale won't last forever, so head on over to thedmlair.com to cash in on the savings before it's all over and you miss out. You see, right there, I got some FOMO and time pressure going on. It's not really your fault. This ad spot is practically irresistible. Picture this. A seasoned Wizards of the Coast dungeon master sits down with a table full of Stranger Things actors, celebrities who've never rolled a d20 in their lives. He weaves an epic vision of a grand city gate, complete with bustling markets and looming spires, then turns to the group and casually drops, "All right, what do you want to do?" Silence. Crickets. Total bewilderment. Now, it's not a failure of the actors, it's a failure of context. For board gamers or first-time players, D&D feels like jumping off a cliff without a parachute. There's no fixed board, no strict turn sequence, no rulebook telling you exactly when to move or attack or what to say. When you present brand new players with infinite possibility and zero guidance, you often get confusion or even performance anxiety. If I make the wrong choice, am I playing the game wrong? Enter what we traditionally call railroading, a structured approach to easing new players into the game by guiding them along a clear path, especially early on. Here's why it works. First, you build confidence through guided choices. Instead of what do you do, try the city guard beckons you toward the northern gate. Do you follow or ask about the missing caravans? You're still giving them agency, but within boundaries that make sense. They learn how the rules flow, movement, skill checks, simple combat, without the paralysis of total freedom. Next, you teach mechanics in context. Railroading lets you introduce rules at the right pace. First session, focus on ability checks and simple roleplay. Next, slip in combat with a low threat encounter. Then magic. By the time they hit deeper dungeons or political intrigue, they've already internalized the basics. Then you guarantee story momentum. When you guide players to specific encounters, you ensure they experience a bit of everything: combat, exploration, social scenes, so they see the full spectrum of D&D and get hooked on the variety. And then you transition smoothly to open play. Once players get comfortable, usually after 2 or 3 guided sessions, you can start peeling back the rails. Do you want to investigate the Eastern District, head straight to the castle, or rest and gather rumors? Now they've got reference points and can make meaningful, confident choices. Remember, railroading new players isn't about taking away freedom. It's about building the foundation they need to use that freedom well. By guiding them early on, you empower your group to explore the open world with curiosity instead of confusion. And remember, if you're finding this information useful, please do all the YouTube-y things like thumbs up and subscribing, ring the bell, and drop me a nice comment, or scream abusive insults at me. It's all fair game. This is the internet after all, and I would expect no less. This is like that's my sleazy sales guy smile. I should have used that earlier in the plug. The sleazy smile. That would have probably sold more books, but oh well, you get it now. We're in an era where the story is king. A lot of players today, especially those raised on actual plays and story-driven campaigns, aren't just here for dungeon crawls and treasure tables. They're here to feel something. They want character arcs, emotional payoffs, that cinematic moment where everything ties together. And sometimes getting to that story means doing a little railroading. Now, I'm not talking about dragging players through rigid, pre-written campaigns while ignoring their choices. I'm talking about steering, subtly guiding them back toward the narrative they want when they're off course or unsure what to do next. Even top-tier game masters like Matt Mercer and Brennan Lee Mulligan do this. Watch closely and you'll see the quiet nudges, the NPCs offering the right information, the flashbacks that drop at just the right moment. It's not controlling, it's curating. And when done well, it keeps the game moving and the story emotionally grounded. This kind of railroading works especially well with players who are invested in the story and want to see their characters evolve. A small nudge toward a major plot beat can lead to massive emotional payoff, something they'll talk about for months afterward. It's also a great way to honor player agency in a deeper sense. In one of my friend's recent games, a player asked if they could visit his character's home city again. He'd mentioned it in his backstory, but hadn't been back in ages. So my friend steered the party toward a rumor: an ancient dwarven artifact had resurfaced. Boom. Narrative justification, travel hook, and a satisfying emotional beat all in one. The next adventure was shaped around that request, and the payoff was huge. So yes, even experienced players can benefit from a little railroading when it's used to help serve the story they're helping to tell. It's not a leash, it's a gentle hand on the tiller, helping steer the ship through narrative waters they already want to explore. Here's the thing about that most people don't tell you about railroading. It's not just about controlling plot. It's also one of the best tools you have for setting tone, managing expectations, and keeping the table on the same page. Sometimes, as the dungeon master, you have to push the narrative forward, not because the players are doing anything wrong, but because maybe they're stuck. Maybe they've been arguing about a plan for 20 minutes. Maybe they're chasing red herrings, or maybe things just feel sluggish. A little light railroading in those moments isn't oppressive. It's helpful. It keeps the game moving and keeps the players focused. But it's not just about pacing. Railroading can also help establish the emotional tone of your campaign. Let's say you're running a horror-themed game. You can't always rely on the players to conjure that sense of dread themselves. Sometimes you have to guide them. That doesn't mean telling them, your character is scared. That's prescriptive. It tells them how to feel, and players tend to push back on that. Instead, use emotive railroading. The hairs on the back of your neck rise. The air suddenly feels colder. Somewhere in the darkness, something shifts. You're not taking away their agency. You're creating a mood. You're encouraging them to react, not forcing them to. In a comedy game, you do the same thing in reverse. You might nudge the party into a ridiculously awkward social encounter, or set up a goblin ambush that involves banana peels and bad poetry. You're laying the track for humor, not demanding it, just framing it. Tone, pacing, and genre cues don't always happen on their own. Sometimes the players need a little guidance, and railroading, used subtly and with purpose, lets you manage expectations while preserving the atmosphere you're all trying to create. Let's be clear though, just because railroading can be helpful doesn't mean it should be your default. In most of the examples we've talked about, we're not talking about driving the party down a rigid plotline with no room to breathe. We're talking about light railroading, gentle nudges, scene framing, and occasional steering to maintain tone, pacing, or clarity. And when used well, it can absolutely enhance the game. But it's a tool, not a crutch. Taking away player agency is something you should never do casually. If you're going to guide players into a specific emotion, reaction, or choice, it needs to be for a good reason. And it helps a lot if you have the players buy in. If a player pushes back, says, "That's not what my character would do," or "That doesn't feel right," don't double down. Let them adjust. Maybe the emotion was too strong. Maybe the motivation wasn't clear. Work with them to reshape the moment so it fits the fiction they're building. That doesn't mean letting the whole thing go off the rails. It just means respecting the shared narrative. And especially in the first case we talked about, guiding brand new players through their first adventure, you've got to know when to let go. Once they understand the rules, start taking initiative, and clearly know what kind of game they want to play, pull back. Give them the freedom to explore, fail, and surprise you. Railroading is like salt. A little bit can bring out the flavor of the game. Too much and you ruin the dish. So use it sparingly, use it intentionally, and always, always make sure it's in service of a better experience for all of the players at your table. But that's just what I think. Let us know down in the comments what you think about railroading. And don't forget to take advantage of our 4th of July sale on the DM Lair store. Don't miss out on up to 50% off everything. Now, if you'd like to learn about the worst dungeon ever and what actually makes a dungeon good, check out this video right here. And until next time, happy game mastering. I'm an idiot, just ignore me. Doesn't matter. Most people don't make it this far anyway.